These are allegations of abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption. And they warrant further investigation by the House of Representatives. That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. This logical next step will give our committees the full power to gather all the facts and answers for the American public. It's exactly what we want to know, the answers.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, once thought of as a young gun in the House of Representatives, is seen here digging his own political grave as he takes orders from the likes of Matt Gaetz to call for an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, knowing full well that the two House committees that have been investigating Hunter Biden and trying to tie his foreign business deals to Joe Biden have failed to provide a shred of evidence. He knows all that. But he's moving forward with calling for an impeachment inquiry. Now, there is a distinction between an impeachment vote and an impeachment inquiry. We'll get into that distinction in just a moment. But yes, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has in fact endorsed an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden and his family's foreign business dealings. Again, even as these two House committees investigating him have failed to turn up any evidence of wrongdoing. Now, sources said McCarthy plans to tell his conference in a closed-door meeting this week that the impeachment inquiry is the logical next step in order to obtain bank records and other documents from the president and his son, Hunter Biden. McCarthy has made it clear there will be a vote for the impeachment inquiry, but as of now, he doesn't appear to have enough Republican members of Congress who will approve this. So the way this works is Kevin McCarthy can't just simply snap his fingers and be like, I declared impeachment inquiry. No, the members of Congress have to vote on that. Now, the question is, are there enough Republicans who are in favor of moving forward with this sham probe? And so far, it appears that is not the case. McCarthy needs 218 House Republicans to vote to authorize the impeachment inquiry. And so far, we know of a few that are against this. Two of them that come to mind include Congressman Ken Buck and Congressman Don Bacon, both Republicans, both think this is silly. Buck will be receiving a briefing though from the House Oversight Committee staff, which has failed to turn up any evidence incriminating Joe Biden this week on the investigations in an effort to convince him to support this politically motivated sham impeachment inquiry. McCarthy plans to say that House Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan and House Oversight Committee Chair Jamie Comer have uncovered enough information that necessitates the House formalizing the impeachment inquiry in order to obtain the Biden's bank records and other documents. So the argument here is, look, we haven't really found any evidence, but calling for an impeachment inquiry, voting in favor of that will allow us to obtain more financial records that could potentially turn something up in our little fishing expedition.
Yeah, first I'm gonna start goofy with his manner of speaking, which I'm amused by. So everybody's got their weirdo ways of speaking, like Biden likes to lean in and whisper.
And whisper.
No joke, no joke. Okay, McCarthy does this thing which he thinks is dramatic. He's like, and I'm here to tell you.
He does do that.
Right, and also, okay, all right, dude, all right, I got it, Mickey Doyle. Anyways, and we're looking for the answers. All right. So now onto the substance. Oh, right, there is none. So look, the Republican politicians have lost a thread. And yes, it's partly because of their base, or a giant part of it is their base. And so they don't want any stinking evidence. They don't want facts, they don't want logic, they don't want reason. They just want to impeach Biden. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene proposed impeachment on day one, and she's still bragging about it today. No, that means that you don't have any evidence when you say, let's impeach him, because I don't like him on day one. And by the way, did they get financial records? They already got a ton of financial records. And it showed what? Nothing. Big fat nothing burger. Then you ask Republicans about that and they go, yeah, but did you know Hunter Biden, like he's no, yeah, we know guys, we know. He's gas board, right? He doesn't know Ukrainian gas. We were among the first shows to say that clearly, obviously, don't be ridiculous. He sells sham art. Yes, we know that, The connection to Joe Biden is what you need. They're like, well, he called him a bunch of times. It's his son, you schmucks. calling him a bunch of times is not evidence.
I know, Cenk, but have you considered Biden bad?
I hadn't. Oh, that's impeachment. Wait, you know what we need, Anna? An impeachment inquiry. Okay.
No, but I gotta be honest, I love this. It's nice to be on the other side because I remember during the Trump years, I remember the hyperbolic segments that Rachel Maddow would do that would make one think that there's a bombshell ahead. And then the bombshells never came. And now we're experiencing the same thing on the other end of the political spectrum with these attempts to incriminate Joe Biden. The Devin Archer testimony before the House Oversight Committee was supposed to be groundbreaking. It was supposed to be the bombshell tying Hunter Biden's foreign business deals to Joe Biden selling his influence. No evidence turned up. Devin Archer actually testified the opposite of that.
Yeah, so look, there's two things I really want to say here that it's first to distinguish between the Biden and Trump thing. So there was a lot of circumstantial evidence about Trump and some Republicans say, you know what, I think there's circumstantial evidence about the connection between Joe and Hunter. They call and sometimes they call during Hunter's business meetings. Joe Biden doesn't know that, but maybe he knew. Maybe there's tons of it's very circumstantial. In Trump's case, his sons are going around going, oh, we get all our money from the Russians, right? And then
Don Jr. Literally said that. Literally,
right? And so tons of evidence that appears circumstantial about Trump. Here's the giant difference. When Mueller came in and said, yeah, the Russians tried to interfere with the election and here's the evidence on that, here's what they did on Twitter and Facebook, and it amounts to this much. And I looked at it and I thought, it doesn't amount to that much, okay? But more importantly is Trump connected to the interference in the election.
Right, was Trump colluding or was he part of a conspiracy along with the Russians to meddle in our elections? Right. That was not proven.
Yeah, so I thought that there was a good chance that could be the case. MSNBC thought it was already proven 1,000 times over, right? But when Mueller's report came out and they said, no, he was not connected, I said, okay, I instantly believe it. That's it, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Because the facts came in, the jury came in. The difference is, do you care about facts or don't you? If you say, whether you're MSNBC and go, I don't care, Trump is still Russia, interference, 2016, Hillary was robbed, or if you're Republicans and you say, I don't give a goddamn about facts, I don't need a single shred of evidence that the election was stolen, I don't need a single shred of evidence that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are collected, okay, that's the way you roll. But that's not how objective reality rolls. And so you're wrong. Right now, there's zero evidence connecting them. And the fact that that doesn't bother you doesn't speak well of you. But I will add one last thing for now, which is this helps Joe Biden.
It does.
And if you're a Republican and you think, oh, we're gonna get him. No, you're not. Look, the one thing that'll help you is it'll help you win the election because Joe Biden is such a terrible candidate. But the minute you do this BS impeachment of Joe Biden, you know what the Democrats are gonna do? Same thing the Republicans did. They're gonna rally around their candidate. And so right now, they're busy going, that's it. We're building the wagons, circling them. And Joe Biden is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So you couldn't help Joe Biden any more than doing this.
Now let's get to what I would argue is the most amusing and entertaining element of this story, which is House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in a leadership role, essentially bowing down to Republicans in the House like Marjorie Greene and Matt Gaetz. So what is the whole point of having a leadership role or that enhanced position of power when really you're taking orders from the likes of Matt Gaetz? And that's what this is really about. Kevin McCarthy, I would venture to say, really had no interest in calling for an impeachment inquiry because he knows there's no evidence. But there has been so much pressure from people like Representative Matt Gaetz that he folded. And the reason why he folded is because of how he became House Speaker to begin with. He agreed that he could be House Speaker as long as basically Republicans in the House would be able to do away with him if he doesn't go along with their little schemes, right? And so he wants to maintain that power, and as a result of not wanting to lose that power, he's just listening to Matt Gaetz and what Matt Gaetz wants. So again, this is really about maintaining power for McCarthy, power that doesn't really make much sense because he really has no control of these situations, he's just taking orders. Now, hours after McCarthy made his announcement, Matt Gaetz still attacked him.
Of course.
And I want to give you a little taste of that. Let's watch.
Now, moments ago, Speaker McCarthy endorsed an impeachment inquiry. This is a baby step following weeks of pressure from House conservatives to do more. Mr. Speaker, dust off our written January agreement. You have a copy. Reflect on the spirit of that agreement and build on the start that we had moments ago. Begin to comply. No continuing resolutions, individual spending bills or bust, votes on balanced budgets and term limits, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and the members of the Biden family who've been grifting off of this country, and the impeachment for Joe Biden that he so richly deserves. Do these things or face a motion to vacate the chair.
I mean, McCarthy, you still call yourself the young gun? You're taking orders from Matt Gaetz? Okay,
yeah.
It is so embarrassing. It really is. And look, in that spiel, Matt Gaetz mentioned a few things that I do think make sense, right? Like separate bills on policy issues. Like I would like to see Democrats actually try to champion that as well, instead of including legislation with a bunch of poison pills that we absolutely despise. But he's muddling the message. At the end of the day, Matt Gaetz is calling for the impeachment of Joe Biden, knowing full well that there isn't a shred of evidence incriminating him, despite how long of an investigation that's been taking place by two House committees.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
So Kevin McCarthy is not really protecting his power, he's protecting his status. There's a difference because he actually has no power, but the good news is he's never had any power. Before, he took all of his orders from the donors, and so he's just a placeholder. The minute he disagrees with the donors, he's shown the door and they get a new servant, right? Now though, he's having to take orders from his donors and MAGA. And so that puts him in a difficult position because he has two bosses instead of one. How does he maintain his status as the theoretical Speaker of the House while pleasing both of those masters who he serves like a servant, okay? So now Matt Gaetz is pulling a Republican on other Republicans. You know what happens to Democrats when they agree with Republicans? It's a giant mistake. We've told you that for 20 straight years. The minute you agree with a Republican, they're gonna want more. It's never enough. Never enough. Kevin McCarthy could impeach Biden today, hold the vote, send it over to the Senate, and then get on the ground and kiss Matt Gaetz' shoes. And Matt Gaetz would say, "You didn't do enough." Okay,
that's exactly
because it's Republican 101. It works. Demand more, demand more. And what drives me crazy is that the parties are polar opposites in both going in the wrong direction. Whereas the Democrats never demand anything.
Correct.
Never demand a goddamn thing, especially progressives. And then the Republicans demand maximalist positions. And what does it do? It pulls the Overton window all the way to the right, which is the whole point of this sham to begin with. They all work for corporations who donate to their campaigns. There's a person here or there. Matt Gaetz doesn't take corporate PAC money. Ro Khanna doesn't take corporate PAC money. But 98% of them, they're all playing theater. Now, and that leads to why Kevin McCarthy has gone down this disastrous path. So the Republicans tried this against Bill Clinton and it backfired. Now that was a long time ago and it's a different country, different situation now. So I'm not saying that it's gonna backfire with this base, it's complicated, right? But the reason that he is acting today is because the extreme Republicans in the House were saying, give us impeachment and give us government shutdown. Now, McCarthy's donors don't want a government shutdown. So in order to appease his donors and the MAGA base, he chose impeachment rather than shutdown. And then as soon as he did that, the MAGA base said, no, we want both.
Of course they want both.
Yes.
They wanted both from the very beginning. How stupid is he? How stupid is he? How stupid is he? The dumbest people in the country are running the country. Yeah. Okay, all right, so look, they're gonna shut down the government. Okay, like that's the best prediction I think anyone could make in the realm of politics today. But aside from Matt Gaetz and the pressure that he's putting on Kevin McCarthy to do stupid things that will politically backfire, I wanna just also note that there's fighting among Republicans in regard to who should take the most credit for pressuring McCarthy to commit political suicide. So let's go to graphic 4 here. I'm gonna start with Matt Gaetz's tweet, or X, which was re-X'd by Marjorie Greene. He wrote, When Kevin McCarthy makes his announcement in moments, this was prior to McCarthy's announcement, of course. Remember that as I pushed him for weeks, Kilmeade said I was speaking into the wind on impeachment. Turns out the wind may be listening. Marjorie Greene didn't like that because she wants to take credit for a sham impeachment inquiry.
No, I'm dumber than you.
Correction, my friend. I introduced articles of impeachment against Joe Biden for his corrupt business dealings in Ukraine and China while he was vice president on the very first day in office, which is what you like to reference, Cenk. She continues, you wouldn't co-sponsor those and I had to drag you kicking and screaming to get you to co-sponsor my articles on the border. Who's really been making the push? So you guys are both morons, and so great, have at it, continue being morons. And look, I'm not just saying that with no evidence. I have been sitting and waiting. I've been open-minded to the idea that maybe there was some corruption. Maybe Joe Biden did sell his influence. I don't know. I mean, they're making the accusation. Let me hear them out. Let me wait for the evidence. They have failed to prove any of it. I'm not some loyal fan or follower of Joe Biden's. I don't care. He's a politician. Politicians do dirty, shady things all the time. So again, open-minded to the accusations, but we need to see the evidence. I haven't seen the evidence. They haven't seen the evidence. This is nothing more than a political stunt that I have a hard time believing is going to help them in any way.
Yeah, so look, the Democrats are looking for Trump's corruption, which there are plenty of and in different examples, but in all the wrong places like Russia, right? And Republicans are looking for corruption from Hunter Biden to Joe Biden, even though the laptop, their beloved laptop, says we can't promise anything from dad because he won't do it, right? The evidence is completely the contrary, right? You know why they're misdirecting you and distracting you in this way? Because the actual corruption is the campaign contributions.
In the halls of Congress,
and
day in and day out.
98% of them take it, Republicans and Democrats. I know MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, NPR think that the Democrats are angels. Nancy Pelosi is an angel that floated from the sky, and she deserves to have the seat in the House and Feinstein's seat in the Senate. But no, they all take cash, cold hard cash, which are obvious bribes. But no, we don't want to talk about the actual cancer of corruption in government. So we're just gonna say, oh yeah, maybe it was Hunter Biden's art or gas deals, etc. So, and on Marjorie Taylor Greene, no one's ever heard of impeaching someone for something they did before they became president. So what are we gonna, we're gonna go back now, by the way? So if Trump wins, now we're gonna go back to, well, on his second week in office, last term, he did something wrong, so we're gonna impeach him for that. And we're gonna go back to what he did at The Apprentice, and we're gonna impeach him for that. This is unprecedented horse crap, okay? Yeah. So, okay, and this Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz in a competition of Dumb and Dumber is just—
it's entertaining.
It's a little entertaining and it's a little pathetic. But go ahead, try to win that contest. And I guarantee you if they heard that, they'd be like, oh yeah, I am gonna win. I'm gonna be dumber. She's only gonna be dumb. Okay, congrats, okay? And last thing on the politicians on the Republican side, look, Don Bacon's trying to save his bacon. He's in a purple district, and I understand why he doesn't want to do it. And there's a number of Republicans that way. By the way, you could pressure them to actually pass policies that would help the American people. But Ken Buck is a rare guy who's a Republican and Freedom Caucus, super right wing. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go for it. You guys are lying, there's no evidence, this isn't constitutional, and I'm not going to participate in this sham. So there's a super hard right winger that I will give credit to.
Finally, I just want to share with you all how Senator John Fetterman feels about this whole debacle. He has some important things to say about the matter. Let's watch.
Ask you about this news that Speaker McCarthy has formally launched an impeachment or has said he's going to.
Oh my God, really? Oh my gosh, it's devastating. Ooh, don't do it, please don't do it. Oh no.
My thoughts exactly. Like, come on, it's just so
And by the way,
ridiculous.
that's the right attitude. Mock them. Don't take them seriously. They're a bunch of clowns. God, man, Fetterman, that stroke was the worst stroke of luck in history. He could easily be running for president and crushing right now if he hadn't had that stroke.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us. Become a Young Turk.